Howdy, y'all, and welcome to the Stay Creative Podcast, a podcast dedicated to highlighting talented artists that I meet, while also using conversations with them to provide insights and encouragement and even practical tips for creativity to people listening. Today, we will be talking with Pax and Vulpz. They are the founders and creators and moderators of the Indie Music Feedback subreddit and Discord server. That is where I met everyone I've interviewed. This show itself is a tool for members of that community to get to know one another better. So it's really exciting to get time to talk to them about some of the origin story, some of the present, some of the future, some of their own art. It's going to be a really good show. I hope you find something insightful or encouraging. Stick around.
I want to be sure just to start off by thanking both of you for your time. We'll get to exactly how much of your time I have to be grateful for here in a bit, but I, of course, want to also thank everyone who's tuning in to listen live to our talk or even listening after the fact on the various, podcast services and things that this will go to. A show and a community, and often art itself is only as good as the people you share it with. And I feel very grateful to be sharing this with all of you. So again, Pax, Vulpz, thank you very much for taking some time to talk with me today. I'd like to start with a little bit of background just about the two of you. So if you could tell me some interesting things about you, like when did the two of you meet one another? What hobbies do you keep up with other than music? And do you have any pets?
All right. Well, let's see. First, we met actually in high school. So we're going on 10 years now. Well, we've known each other technically for 11. We kind of really got together in our senior year of high school, and we've been together ever since. So
Yeah. So you guys are a couple?
we are.
Okay, awesome.
I finally got married 2016. So
awesome. Yeah. That's fantastic. Being married has so far been my favorite part of being alive. I have a child now, which has only amplified that joy. So I'm very happy to hear that. What about other hobbies? What kind of stuff do you guys get into when you're not running this community and making music?
I'd say our biggest hobby that we like to do together is playing video games. The first video game that we really played together was Halo. And
awesome.
Yeah, I remember it was when we first started dating. Vulpz was working at Walmart, unfortunately, and he surprised me with my first Xbox, and it was just like this really cool thing because it made it so that at night we could play Halo. Which Halo?
it was Halo 3 at the time. Yeah.
So
Awesome.
that we could play Halo together at night. So
Yeah.
definitely video games are a big part of our relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely, and if you follow any of what we've said since this Discord server started anyways, we've been very heavily into some MOBAs over the past couple of years. Heroes of the Storm and League of Legends as of recent. But we'd like to touch a little bit of everything.
That's awesome. So those are kind of the games that are PvP, but also you are on a team. So I guess the two of you enjoy being on one another's team, but competing against other groups, or do you like competing against one another?
We like to play together. Like, we're not super into competing against each other. We do better when we work together.
Let's put it this way too. One of Pax's family games was, of course, Mario Kart, and it was never really my forte. But let's just say if we go to play competitively, I can't play that because she's going to kick my butt every time.
Yeah, Mario Kart is an equalizer. It's a fantastic game. The battle mode specifically is kind of where I really like to ruin friendships. Also, if you have any pets, I feel like they are a big part of our community. Bentley is kind of our community pet at this point, but everybody in the group seems to have some creature they love. What's up with you guys? You got any pets?
Well, I asked for a cat when I was in high school, and my mom got me a cardboard cat, of which I have still today. So that is my pet.
That's awesome. Yeah. What's the cardboard cat's name?
Oh, I never named it.
Believe it or
Oh
not.
my goodness, that's crazy. So you just call him Cardboard Cat?
Yes.
That is awesome. That's honestly, that sounds like a you guys like video games. It sounds like a Metal Gear Solid character.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cardboard Cat. Do you hear me? You know.
Which, by the way, I want to give a shout out to my mom, Sandy Spirals. She's here with us today.
Oh, hey, I know that name. Hello, Sandy. I'm very glad you're here. It's good to connect some dots there. So yeah, that's awesome. I want to ask. So Pax, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the ending right. Pax Libertas, right? Is that how you say that?
I say it Libertas.
Yeah. Okay. So that to me sounds like it means like peace and liberty, peace and freedom, or something. Is that what you're going for with that name?
Yeah, so Pax Libertas goes back to like the Greek times. Libertas was a Greek goddess of liberty, and Pax was the word that they used when they did peace treaties. So Pax meant peace. So it's peace.
Yeah. I knew Pax meant peace, and Libertas just sounds like the root of the word liberty now. So that's awesome. That's a really cool. It's cool how every part of it has meaning, but also it kind of flows well, like a name. What about Vulpz? I feel like there's like a Pokemon named Vulpz.
Close.
Yeah.
Vulpix was the Firefox, but
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of from that. Just foxes have kind of always been my creature of choice, and
Awesome.
scientific name Vulpix. So it just kind of came from there. I was looking for a new username. God, I don't know. Almost 10 years ago, and it just kind of fell out.
I dig it. Obviously, we are given a name at birth, and that significantly impacts who people know us as to some extent, but also the names that as artists we get to choose to represent ourselves to our communities and to the people who engage with our art. I think that's a fantastic thing to dive into with people, because it really is like before you touch a note of music or write a line of poetry, you have made an artistic decision with the name that you choose to represent yourself as. So I really dig those stories. So speaking of before you touch a note or write a line, how long have you guys been playing music or making art?
So forever, pretty much so. Ever since I can remember, anytime when I was really little, if I had the opportunity to smack around on my dad's acoustic guitar when he wasn't in the room, I would. So it started there. Went into, did band, clarinet stuff, elementary school, into middle school. Got to try a couple different things in band, and then senior year did some jazz guitar for band. And then after that, basically just kind of everything I do on my own has just kind of been here and there. It's kind of like the rest of our hobbies, It's like, what do I feel like doing today?
That's fantastic. What about you, Pax?
Well, I've probably been making music ever since I learned how to sing. I'm sorry, Mom. I definitely, when I was a kid, sang while I was hanging out in the bathtub and stuff, and would make up my own music.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have a friend who is passionate about declaring the human body as the original instrument, like be it percussive or vocally, like that is what ignited our imaginations to start making instruments out of the things that we found. So that's cool. I feel like if all of us were really examining it, we would probably have a similar answer. Yeah. So have you guys in your 10 or 11 years now knowing each other, being together, also it seems like you've been making music since childhood. Have you guys ever worked together, collaborated on a project, a band, or an album or anything like that?
A little bit.
Yes, we've never really completed anything, but we definitely do for fun.
Well, if you're not doing stuff to have fun, then you're never going to make the thing that is worth like telling everybody about,
Yeah, if you don't have fun doing it, then why try?
Yeah. What's the point? Going through that, I guess these next questions might not even have answers. Like it may just be primordial. But so musically, who are some of your earliest influences? Like who sparked your original desire to start creating music and stuff?
Ooh, okay. So again, my father, he'd been playing guitar and been in bands and stuff since he was a teenager. So that was my first real introduction to playing an instrument. So he was always kind of inspiration. I always wanted to be like Dad, be cool on the guitar, and it was just always something alluring to being able to create something that you enjoy. And I guess sounds and stuff as a kid are the easiest thing for you to create and get instant gratification. So, I mean, I really liked doing stuff based on that. But, moving forward, both my parents had slightly different tastes in music. Dad was very much so 80s, metal, 90s punk, things like that. And mom she was mainly on the dance side, some LaBouche, Culture Club, things like that. So yeah, I had a very nice rounding, I guess, of musical taste. But
yeah.
So I mean, I guess again, probably family was just the biggest influence, and then rock-wise, probably earliest influences were Soundgarden.
Ah, yeah.
And at least ones that I took to.
I was born in 1987, so like I grew up in the 90s. So a lot of the music on the radio, the rock radio, was stuff like Soundgarden, but they had such a diverse collection of like sounds in their songs that until I was in my like mid-20s, I didn't even realize all the songs I grew up listening to were the same band.
I'm still running into a lot of that today. Actually, to believe it or not, I ran into a Tool song the other day that I didn't know was Tool.
Awesome. What about you, Pax? What's some of your earliest influences?
I was exposed to a lot of video game music when I was a kid.
Nice.
Shout out to my sister. She's pro hearts. She's also here.
Hey.
We played a lot of Legend of Zelda, and I think the one that really stuck the most was the soundtrack from Majora's Mask. It kind of had like this really dark, brooding sound to it, and it scared me, but it also like stuck with me. And another one was music from Studio Ghibli movies like Nausicaa and Princess Mononoke. They would just like really move me emotionally, and it had a big impact. So, and also when I was a teenager, I listened to a lot of Linkin Park and Evanescence. So.
That's another one that I think almost all of us are guilty of, even the ones who won't admit it now. One thing that I think is really cool about Majora's Mask and the other one on Nintendo 64, Ocarina of Time, is that part of the gameplay is playing music. So like those tunes get stuck in your head because you have to manually input them, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I imagine that had an influence on a lot of young musicians, young artists. So kind of coming up to today, what is currently really inspiring you as far as music goes, or what was the last album that you just were not able to stop listening to?
I guess the last album I liked front to back was the self-titled Audioslave EP back in 2002.
Yeah.
That one I think I've just continuously listened to over the years. You know, just again front to back. Something about just the collection of melodies and what each song brings is a little bit different, but nothing feels like it takes it out of kind of the mood that the whole album sets. So yeah, that's been one of my biggest ones. Outside of that, it's just really finding just random music online. Like IMF has been super helpful in terms of finding new inspiration for stuff, you know, just some of the things that I hear coming from the server itself.
I agree that there has been a tremendous amount of judgment I've been freed from. There was a time in my life when I would have said, like, any music made with a computer is stupid, you know? And because IMF has shown me living people are using fantastic, lively skills to create these moving pieces of music. Yes, they're using a MIDI keyboard, whatever. Like, it is still a beautiful piece of music. And because of IMF, I have been able to fully kind of transition that thinking into a very appreciative, non-judgmental space, and it's been fantastic.
That's really cool.
What about you, Pax? What's going on with you most recently, as far as like influences or inspirations? And again, like what's the last album you couldn't put down?
I've never really been super into albums. Like I usually only like one or two songs off of an album. But as far as like what I'm being inspired by, I'd have to split it between two categories, like mainstream and stuff that I find on indie music feedback. So mainstream wise, I've been listening to Scientific, Camilla, Virtual Self, Asphyxia, and Joe Ford. But as far as people on indie music feedback, like just 12 days ago, I just ran into this song called Anxiety by Land Echo, I think his name is, and it was just really, really amazing. I listened to it like a bunch of times.
Shout out to Land Echo.
Before that, there was a song called The End by Latch. But there's just so much good music that gets posted to indie music feedback. Like, just to name a few, Tobias the Owl, Sympathy Wizard, Wildred, Beryl Adam, Slackerman, Alpha Zero, Soren Leaf, Harvester, Flimsy, Somewhat Incognito. Moonglow, Porkboy, Megan Timings, Murr, Jack Kessel, Sherwood Forest, Jay Meza, Leader, Strip McCoy, Yukon, Skyloom, Into the Red, Avdrav, Jerry Meter. I mean, I could really just like go on all day, but
yeah.
I won't. You guys will get really annoyed with me. But seriously, like, there's just so much good music that gets posted. Any music feedback, I mainly listen to music that gets posted there. So I've pretty much fallen off the track on what's mainstream and all that.
Yeah, same. I'll go to SoundCloud. I'll see who I've met on IMF has put something new out. I'll listen to that first, and then I'll go usually to someone incognito's page and listen to that while I do dishes. That's kind of become my regular my regular daily music ritual. So kind of just a weirder question, I guess, is if any artist, living or dead, that you would like to exchange a mixtape with.
Only one person I can think of right now, and that's electronic producer. I've put him up a couple times. He goes by the name of Savant. I think it's Alexander Vinter, because he kind of goes by a couple different aliases, but he produces, he just has such a wide variety in his music. Within the same album, you can turn something on and the next song will start and you'll think you're listening to something totally different person, altogether. And, judging by what I've read and things I've seen, it just seems like he's got a very good grasp on at least what people like to hear, what people, mainstream wise, and then ways in which he can take that and kind of make it his own. And, I really like that aspect of what he does. It's just, he's like, well, you think you know what I'm going to put out, but then let me just twist that a little bit. So yeah, I mean, he's probably would be a pretty cool person to kind of get some of his unreleased stuff.
Yeah, that would be cool. What about you, Pax?
I kind of feel like I already get to do that with my favorite artists, like, because you guys go out there with me, so.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely the most wholesome answer, I suppose. I want to kind of move into talking about some of your music before we get into talking more about just IMF as a whole. You guys have, I honestly would not doubt that music has taken kind of a back burner with how busy I imagine IMF keeps you. But you have some really interesting pieces that are already on SoundCloud, and I'd like to talk about some of them. So before we get into talking about them, why don't you tell me just kind of specifically, or vaguely, it doesn't have to be too specific, what it is that you're trying to make when you sit down to make a piece of music. Pax, you go first this time.
Okay. I'd definitely say for me, I don't know, I just kind of hash out whatever I'm feeling, but it ends up being like in between ambient and down tempo. I'd say that's probably what most of my stuff ends up being. So
ambient, I know is a genre. Down tempo, I don't know that I would have guessed that that's like a genre, but it makes absolute sense. A lot of music kind of has like a 130 to 150 dance tempo, but down tempo, it almost immediately enriches the emotional content of a piece. Like when a melody is played just a little bit slower, it's kind of like there's a cover of the song Wonderwall I heard one time, and Wonderwall makes no sense. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that Wonderwall makes no sense, but this slowed down cover of Wonderwall kind of does, and it's sadder. So yeah, I'm with you. Down tempo is a cool aspect. What about you, Vulpz?
Really, when I sit down to make anything, it's kind of like what Pax said. I do it because I'm kind of just fiddling. I like to put my hands on something and play. I never really sit down to make anything directly. But occasionally something comes out of it, and I try to make a run with it. And so a lot of the stuff on my SoundCloud, for instance, it's a lot of incomplete things, but a lot of partial ideas.
I kind of picked up on it. There's a lot of little captured ideas on your SoundCloud that I really enjoyed browsing through. It was almost like I would click play on one, and then before I knew it, I'm like, what happened? Did I space out for that track? What do you guys use to create your music?
We share all of our stuff pretty much,
Yeah. For me, I use mainly Ableton, and I'd say Vulpz goes between Ableton and
Reason.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of the instruments that I'm hearing in your music are MIDI and programmed stuff?
Yeah, for me at least.
Yeah.
For the most part. Obviously, anything that I've done with guitar in mine are actual guitars, but yeah, everything else is just a MIDI.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a really precise production value to it. It's hard for me to tell when instruments are MIDI and when they are recorded. Specifically, Pax, in that track "Phases of the Moon." As soon as that one started playing, I thought the piano was real. I heard a little bit of acoustic guitar I thought was real, and then the bass came in, and I was positive it was real. So what specifically do you do when you're putting these pieces together to get sounds? Are you kind of a throw it against the wall, let it stick creator, or do you spend agonizing amount of time choosing these sounds?
I just let my ears kind of guide me. If something sounds like it fits, then I'll put it in. If it doesn't really sound like it fits, then I won't. So I don't really put too much thought into it.
Okay, gotcha. They come out very, I'm going to say contemplative. They have an emotional resonance and a contemplativeness to them that feels more thoughtful than you are implying they are. Especially another one of your tracks, "Reveal My Soul." It was I don't know, it kind of just moved softly through a very emotional space. Is that something that plays into it? Are you looking to create something that has an emotional vibe, or again, is it just kind of following your ears, seeing what happens, and at the end it turns out to be kind of an emotional thing?
Yeah, I definitely let my emotions guide me when I make music. It kind of represents what I was feeling at the time, I suppose.
That makes sense. Yeah, even if you are, kind of following your ears are part of you. Your emotions are, kind of part of you. So that makes sense for sure. That's awesome. I really enjoyed listening through your music on SoundCloud. There's some really good pieces. I also noticed the naming of your tracks seemed artistic in itself. Do you lift these names from a specific source? Do you have names before you make tracks? Do you name the tracks based on just kind of what the track sounds like? How do you go about naming your pieces?
It can take me a while to figure out what name kind of fits with the song, and sometimes I'll get the name wrong and I'll change it, a bunch of times. But yeah, so that is definitely probably the most thought I put into my music is the name.
That's awesome. A lot of the most thought for a lot of music is the lyrics. So having those words kind of contextualize the piece with even fewer words than lyrics are. That is something that deserves a good deal of attention and care. Vulpz, we're gonna kind of talk about some of your music. I listened to all of Pax's music and had this emotional stirring kind of fresh in my chest, and then I moved over to Vulpz's page and I was like, okay, now we're at a rave. This is great. So your music was kind of more of a hype tone, especially the track "We Can." When that one started playing, I had to stand up to listen to it. I couldn't sit anymore. When you're watching the fight scene in a Marvel movie or something. What would you say is your desired effect in music? Are you going for kind of a hype thing, or like Pax, are you just kind of creating what feels right in the moment, listening with your senses?
It's kind of a little bit of all that. Again, like what I was saying earlier, I sit down because I usually get a tune in my head, or because I kind of want to fiddle. And usually what happens is I come across some sort of melody or some sort of beat that I really like, and at that point I kind of get an idea of where I want to go with it. And so I'll move forward with that until I either hit a brick wall and I stop, or I decide it's too good to stop and I'll try and find, another way maybe to approach it.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of the feeling that comes from those things, was me trying to get into the I guess you would call it the bedroom producer scene, many years ago. A lot of that stuff started, and if you look actually at my SoundCloud, I think the oldest clip I actually have that's still on there is from 9 years ago. And that was essentially me playing with FL Studio when I first got it, got into bedroom production, and kind of just trying to make some of the stuff that I heard, online at the time and in games that really interest me. And so, I've tried to go for specific sounds, a lot of the things in the electronic area, but at the same time, I always kind of like to change it. Like, I don't want it to be kind of like a repeat. I want it to be something a little bit special. But, I don't know. It ends up not working out most of the time, as you see. End up being clips.
No, yeah, and I think that there's some significant value to those clips. I wanted to talk kind of specifically about those. Some of those, like you said, kind of like almost video game scenes or movie scenes. They encapsulate like an emotion, just kind of for a flash. Like the kind of thing you could loop if you wanted to, but they almost tell like a whole story in a 19-second, 35-second clip. I want to say the one with her, felt like an emotional scene in a movie, like a like a love scene or a breakup scene.
It actually was. It was. Again, I think my very first song that I actually 100% finished was the very first one that I did as a starting point for people at the IMF subreddit, so that we had songs on there for people to actually be able to go in. I kind of jumped into it real quick because Pax and I were talking about it. I'm like, look, we need people up there. So I kind of spit one out so that would work. And I think that was with you. See, look, my schemes are terrible. That one was with her or with you. The one you're talking about was with her. Yeah, that was 5 years ago. That was a little bit more emotional. But again, my problem, I have a hard time switching from those gears. Like, I'm not like Pax where I'm fluid. I can get that emotion to come out and then switch into something and bring the effect of that. I usually like have the emotion right there. It's kind of like a scene in a show. It's like, okay, next scene now.
Yeah. You said something once, why say it again? I'm with you. Yeah. So another one of your tracks, I think it's Hills WIP. Is that how you would pronounce that one?
Oh, yeah. The WIP is just a work in progress. Like, everything there.
I thought that was part of the title. Awesome. Well, Hills, work in progress. Yeah, people are making fun of me in the chat. I'm cutting all this out. Nobody's going to know how no one's going to know how smart I'm not. That's what I should say. Other ones sounded pretty cool, like Hills. It sounded like a Nintendo like fighting game. So, do you still use a lot of like your early video game influences when you are, making these tracks?
Oh, absolutely. I had a lot of early exposure to video games as well. I was playing Mortal Kombat at the age of 4. The original one.
Oh yeah,
I got to experience a lot of the 16-bit era in terms of music, but there's something that's still always appealing about the 8 and 16-bit music that just you feel like you got to kind of go back and touch it every once in a while and bring it back to life. That's kind of what that was. That was my attempt, I think, at the time to that was 5 years ago. I think that's when we were looking at starting a possible game, some game development, and so I was just kind of playing with some ideas for music at the time.
I've got a friend who all through college he was in like the theater program, and he always marveled about how everything in theater is fake except the music. You've got like fake paintings on fake houses, on fake backdrops with fake costumes and fake scripts, but you can't fake music. So So I see people coming to this IMF group, and they are all looking for real music, no matter what the purpose. That they're making a video game, or they're looking to score a scene or whatever. They've always, like, the music can't be faked. So it's cool that from Mortal Kombat up until now, it's still real music.
Oh, absolutely.
Still keeping you interested and keeping you going. So I want to kind of shift gears for just a moment. Without spoiling too much of the story, I want to say that IMF, Indie Music Feedback, we've been talking about it each episode. It gets at least some mention. It's a subreddit that has sparked quite a bit of a community around it. It's a group of independent artists, myself included, who share what they are creating. They provide feedback on other people's creations and things like that. I want to go into some of the details of how the community got started. So tell me, when did IMF start, first off?
So IMF was formed on February 6, 2019.
Oh, nice. Still very fresh. Just a little over a year old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what were the earliest goals of starting IMF? Why did you get it going?
My goal was to bring a positive change to the music scene on Reddit.
Okay, yeah. It is kind of a wasteland sometimes on Reddit as far as sharing music goes. Quite the opposite. And so, I mean, was it in engaging with the Reddit music scene that inspired you to bring about a change?
Yeah, I had gone to Reddit to try to share one of my songs, like a lot of us have done before, and I came upon This Is Our Music, and it was a huge subreddit. There were just a lot of people there, and I just scrolled down a little bit, and I just noticed that there was just very little interaction going on. People were more likely to downvote you than to tell you why they didn't like your song or anything like that. So that's kind of what sparked the idea. And I also noticed that happening on SoundCloud too. Like, I would, those promo bots that follow you or whatever. Yeah, so I investigated one of these promo bots, and I started looking into the people that they were commenting on. And they were hitting up thousands of people, and these people had no plays on their music. Nobody was listening to their music, and it's just like, it just seemed like this really big problem, not just within Reddit, but in general, just that musicians were not listening to each other. So that was kind of something that I was trying to change.
I have also noticed how I'll get a message on SoundCloud, and it's like, I loved your track, and I look and I'm like, it has 0 plays. How did you love it if you haven't listened to it? Yeah. There's a lot of that going around. It's predatory. It's attacking people where they are the most passionate, where they're the most vulnerable, and it's disgusting. I'm very glad that this community hasn't been infiltrated by that sort of thinking, and it seems like everybody involved at this point would defend it, defend it with torches and pitchforks, if we needed to. It's fantastic. So moving to kind of the present, I really like knowing the origin story. I feel like it makes. I like that it is recorded, hopefully for eternity. Like these recorded songs and these recorded interviews, and as long as the internet lasts, these will be out there for people to find. So, after you guys move on, you've got your own, private jet and record label. People will still know why IMF is such a lively community. But moving up to the present, what has been the most surprising thing to happen starting on?
I'd say the most surprising thing is this Discord channel. When I created Indie Music Feedback, I did want to get musicians to interact with each other and to make connections with each other. But I never imagined that it would become like it is here. And I mean, that it was a good surprise. It's just amazing. All of you are just really amazing. I honestly didn't expect such amazing people to come together and to treat each other so well, and it just blows my mind every day.
Yeah, it is fantastic. Kind of going along with that, what have been the challenges? So surprises are usually positive things, but what have been some of the challenges?
I think my original challenges have all kind of gone away. Like when I first created Indie Music Feedback, I had to manually approve everyone's posts. And I was also manually sending out invites. I would like wake up in the morning really, really stressed out because I had like 20 posts that I needed to make sure everybody commented before I could improve it. And but that was all kind of fixed when my friend Mercy Nurse, I don't know if you guys have met him. He rarely interacts here, but he's a big part of why we're here today, because without him, none of this would have happened. You know, he came in and he created the bot that runs on the main page and approves everyone's post. And I mean, that was just kind of like the moment that made it so that any music feedback could happen, because there was just no way that I could manually approve all of the posts myself.
Absolutely. Especially now where it's up to 15,000, members at least. Yeah,
definitely.
That's wild.
But I mean, after that, every problem that seemed to come up was something that could be fixed. Like when we created the Discord channel, Vulpz was able to create the bot for this channel, which, he worked really hard to do that. And we wouldn't be here on the Discord channel if it wasn't for him. So
yeah.
And he also created the invitation bot, the one that sends out everybody invites. So the last challenge that I really ran into is trying to promote the music that I run into that I really like at Any Music Feedback. Like I'll create spotlights, I'll create playlists, and I'll go out, onto Reddit, and I'll try to promote them. The first thing that I promoted was IMF's official Grammys, and I promoted it over at this subreddit called Listen to This. And at first, people were super into it. It got 8,000 upvotes. I thought I was going to be able to go back and do it again next year. But after, a couple days after I posted that, it seemed like there was this anti-playlist or anti-collection of music movement that was on, because I could no longer post there anymore. Like I would go and I would try to post my playlist and I would talk about it and it would get removed and no one would tell me why. So then I would try to go post it over at r/music, and it would start to blow up and it would get removed and no one would tell me why. And, this just kept happening over and over and over again. So that's kind of a challenge that I've run into, is just not being able to get people's music out there. It seems like people want to hear the music, but the moderators don't want to allow me to share the music with people, which is really weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a microcosm of the problem with the music scene at large. They don't want to share the attention of people coming to their subreddit with some other subreddit.
That might be it. But it's just so weird. They never tell me what I'm doing or what I could do differently or anything like that. They just don't even say anything.
With that in mind, with still working quite a bit to promote against against odds, you're still working quite a bit. You've got bots in place now and things that do make it a lot easier. How much time, work, and if you're comfortable discussing even money, does IMF take to keep going? Like, is this a full-time job at this point? Is this a part-time job? Is this something you do in the morning? Like, how do you keep it going?
I'd say it depends on who you ask. If you ask Vulpz, it definitely, because he's right now working on creating a website for Any Music Feedback, and not only that, but he just has all of these things that he has to do to improve like our Discord bot and things like that. I definitely say it's a part-time job as far as bot creation and coding and things for Vulpz.
Yeah, for sure.
Save me.
Yeah, I'm positive with all the talent we have laying around in this group, I'm positive somebody could whip up a website, right? That's something you whip up. That's an easy thing to do. So speaking of the website, where do you guys see the community going in just like the next short term?
Our goal in the future is to help create an environment where musicians will be more willing to listen to each other. But not only that, right now I'm kind of the one who goes through and listens to all the music and spotlights and stuff. But that only accounts for my subjective taste in music. It doesn't account for what the majority of people like. So I'm thinking, it would be better if we had a system where instead of curators like me or curators over at Submit Hub or record labels kind of deciding what gets to be spotlighted, deciding what gets to be considered quote unquote good music. What if musicians listened to each other but depending on each other, we decided what was good or bad. So So the idea would be to create a website where people, come to it, and it would be a lot like SoundCloud, but the difference would be that everybody, before they upload their music or get opinions on music, they would have to listen to other people's music.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be a lot different than what it is now, as far as you just coming and upvoting or downvoting a song and leaving 3 sentences.
Yeah.
You would have to, fill out these really detailed critique forms. And the questions that they would be answering would be linked directly to data that would be shown on people's profiles. So it's a really complex system to try to explain all at once, but the idea is that if I like, for example, if I really like rap music and I hate rock music, and I come to Any Music Feedback and I decide that I want to get, people to listen to my music, we'll put them into a system where they'll be suggested 5 songs, but we're not going to suggest them songs that they don't like. We're going to look at the genres that they like, and we're going to be like, okay, so you like rock music. Here's a couple rock songs, for your review. So the idea would be to try to help connect people with music that they like. And get them to review in a very detailed way that can be displayed on everyone's profiles. So if I'm a listener and I've heard about Any Music Feedback through the grapevine, and I heard it's a really great way to discover music, I could say, well, my favorite genre is noise rock. And I could come to Any Music Feedback and I could see, the top 50 songs for this year or for all time or for this week that were voted by musicians. So I don't know. That's kind of what we're aiming for, to create a website where musicians can kind of listen to each other and they kind of do the curation process on their own and without having to depend on other people to do it.
Yeah, and it also sounds like it doesn't depend on a concept of like marketability. It's not will this song sell on a car commercial or will this song sell on pop radio. It's this song is a piece of art. How can we as a community help you elevate it to a better version of itself, or the best version?
Definitely. Like the feedback would definitely try to help people, but I think another thing that it would help is it would help account for the subjectivity of music. Because now, like, for example, you go to Submit Hub and say there's 1,000 curators for you to submit your music to. Those 1,000 curators have followings, they have influence. But that doesn't mean that they account for everything that people like out there.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think that the industry is getting in the way of the product. We have all of these middlemen that kind of decide what's good or what's bad. But I just don't think that there's enough of them to account for what people like. For example, noise rock. I don't think there's very many curators at Submit Hub that are looking for noise rock. There might be, but there could be very few of them. And so who accounts for that? Well, musicians could account for it because musicians love music. And I think that this could, if we have musicians acting as the curators, acting as the people who decide what's good or bad, it would help people who love music go out there and find the music that they can connect with and that they enjoy. It's a theory.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. Like, tastemakers are there to find things that solidify their value. They want to say, well, this is good because I think it's good, and my opinion matters. So only the things I think are good are good. The industry is getting in the way of the product is absolutely a problem, and coming at it from kind of a, I don't know, I'm going to say bottom up, but really many to few angle, as opposed to this like pyramid shape of, one guy at top decides the value of 1,000 people's art. I think that's a beautiful idea, and everyone involved benefits from that idea. That's fantastic. So having explored your art in the community you've built, and really just getting an idea of the passion you feel for this, I want to ask you why you do it. I feel like I absolutely know why. You're passionate about artists who deserve to be heard, and I love that. But I want to give you a space to communicate to someone listening who's also passionate and does not feel like their passion matters, and does not feel like their work is going to add up to something as big as I am at. or as useful as this Discord server or anything like that, what would you tell a person is the value of doing this, even if it never reaches 15,000 followers on Reddit?
If you try to start doing something and you're doing it because you want it to become big, then it's probably not the right reason to do it. I started in music feedback because I wanted to help people. I noticed that there's a lot of unhappiness attached to music, and art in general. I'm sure we've all watched the movie with the failed artist, and how sad that is for them, and no one ever listens to their music and stuff. And I was just thinking about how can we improve that situation. I think that definitely it can be improved by musicians giving each other the time of day. You don't have to promise to like the other person's music. That's completely subjective. But the fact that you listened, it makes a big difference. If a billion people all listened to 5 other songs that were on Indie Music Feedback's website every single day, that would add up. That would imagine if those people were not listening to each other. I just think that it could make like a really positive change for a lot of people, because music has always been a way to express yourself, a way to, kind of get those feelings that are inside of you, outside of you. And I see a lot of people kind of giving up on music and not pursuing music because no one will ever listen to them or no one will ever give them a chance. So I think, and a lot of people don't even, I know a lot of people who do cover songs, or they've played an instrument their entire life and they have never made their own music. Because they're afraid to be bullied or laughed at, and that happens a lot, as all of you know. When you share your music, people will pick on you, they will laugh at you, they will bully you. So just wanted to create an environment that was a friendly environment, a positive environment for musicians, because I really think if we do that for each other, that will improve each other's lives, in a really good way. Yeah, absolutely, for real. It's not about building the community. It's about doing, to borrow a kind of a cliche, it's about doing what's right because it's right, not about doing what's right because of some renown or some sort of power it gives you, over people who aren't doing it right. That's no less than the classy answer I expected from you guys. So I'd like to give you a moment to kind of shout out where you are on the internet, where people can find your music, where you think folks should start engaging with IMF. You definitely can find me, both Vulpz and I, on SoundCloud. And as far as indie music feedback, I definitely think for people, their best experience is going to be within this Discord channel. So if you guys see, invite your friends. If you guys, run into some music that you like on IMF, invite them to this Discord channel. I definitely think that everybody who walks in here has a better experience here than they did at the Reddit. We're going to get into community questions, but before we do, our friend Loam is going to share his screen in a moment. But I asked some of the community members to share some of their thoughts and just feelings and experiences with the community so far.
Hey, what's up? This is Jeff from Moonglow. I just wanted to share a few words about indie music feedback. The community is great. It's been really special, really therapeutic, really amazing staying in a conversation about music with no ego and no bullshit all day. I love that I can tap into it at any point, just jump into a conversation about whatever. I hear people working in different DAWs, different styles, different source material. There's always something for me to learn, me to chew on, and every time I share something, I feel like I, receive good love and support from the community. So, I don't know, I've been on Reddit maybe since 2009 in different forms, but it's certainly the only subreddit I've ever felt a part of, and one where I actually know the members and identify with and feel like it's doing good. So thank you guys. I'm really grateful for the community and grateful for what everybody's doing, and I love hearing all the music everybody's making, and it's just good to have some really fucking cool internet friends. So thank you guys.
Hey, this is Somewhat Incognito, also known as Mark, and I just wanted to say IMF has been a really great place and experience for me over the last 10 months or so as I became more and more involved with the community. And to say thank you to Pax and Vulpz for putting this all together. It's been really great. It's a fun place. It's kind of my home away from home at this point. And I honestly think it's the best music community on the internet.
Hey everybody, this is Pork Boy. So last year I found out about indie music feedback because I decided to take music much more seriously, and I was trying to find a community that I could do that in. And I released a single, so I was going down to every single music subreddit, posting, commenting on people's posts, and trying to get people to listen to my music, and also trying to find people that I could, connect with and foster a community with. And at the same time, Pax was going down to every single music subreddit, commenting on every single post with a really lengthy explanation of the 3 comment system and inviting people into indie music feedback. And at the time, I didn't know that was going to be one of the most successful music subreddits in a year time. And so I decided to check it out. And I think the effort that Pax put in at the beginning of the community really shows where the community was going to head for. It's just such a successful, connected, well cared for and maintained community, and I'm very grateful for it. I feel like I've made friends all over the world, and the world feels so much smaller because of it, because it's so much more connected. And at the same time, my music palette has grown so much in ways I would have never expected it to grow. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to, foster my own music and getting to listen to such a variety and diversity of music and people, thanks to the Discord as well. So thank you so much, Pax and Vulpz, for building this community for the ground up and putting in the effort that it requires to, build, maintain, foster, and care for a healthy, creative community. Thank you so much.
What? Want me to say something nice about Pax and Vulpz? I don't know. Bentley, you want to say something? No. You rude dog. I guess I'll say something then. But jokes aside, I know both of you are probably tired of me saying this to you, but absolutely wonderful. Both of you are the best. And I am forever thankful for you creating IMF, and then both of you just being amazing people. I won't stop saying that you're amazing. I will spread your praises all throughout the land with Bentley by my side. And I know because of you, I've become such a better musician and producer because of the community you created. And on top of that, I know with this community and your hard work from both of you that it's not if, but when we're gonna get on that private jet and go wherever you want. And through the grapevine, what was that, Bentley? What you want to say? He approves. Next sound clip.
The thing with indie music feedback is that while it's a music subreddit and Discord that promotes feedback, collaboration, and community, it also promotes selflessness in a way. And that's mainly because Pax and Vulpz, you guys are the most selfless people I know. You've spent countless hours curating songs, programming bots to give musicians a voice. And I just can't thank you guys enough for that. I mean, obviously, the way the internet works is most people just don't get heard nowadays. I mean, there's a chance, but let's be honest, it's so slim. And you guys are now creating a more level playing field as the community grows. That the gap between being heard and being unheard is slowly going to start shrinking. And it's all because of you guys, and I just can't thank you guys enough for that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys rock.
You are the community creators extraordinaire. I think you have the perfect combination of passion for music and technical acumen. You two have put together the finest community that I've experienced on the internet in the last God knows how long, probably at least 5 years. What you've created allows us to share and experience music that we wouldn't normally experience. And we make friends with people through that music. And so that connection, that friendship that we're making through this community is on a different level than my sort of everyday friendships. Because these are people that actually listen to my music, unlike my regular friends and family. That's all. I love you guys. Thank you so much for what you've created, and keep it up.
So I feel like I could go on a long-winded rant about what makes IMF so good and why Pax and Vulpz are such a big part of that. But I think I'll just say that it's kind of like when the big superstar artist gets to meet one of their fans and the fan says, "Oh, you changed my life with what you made." You guys have genuinely changed my life, and I think a bunch of us here would say the same thing. You've created a community like I've never seen before, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
That was amazing, you guys. Thank you so much. I'm sitting over here like crying.
Yeah, this is why we don't
Definitely want to thank you guys too, because Vulpz and I are getting all the thanks here, but this is a community. This is built by every single person here. Every single one of you take a huge role in this community by participating, and this is just as much as your community as it is Vulpz or Eyes. Everybody has worked together. Everything that you see in this Discord channel is pretty much an idea that was made by someone. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Zoran bringing a bunch of people together for his Life's Everyday soundtrack, and Mark coming to me and asking me to start this Discord channel. Every game that you see is something that somebody came to me and had the idea for. As you can see, it's just like everybody is working together to make this place what it is. So definitely thanks to all of you for being here and for just being awesome.
It has been a joy to talk to you guys, and I'm super grateful for your time.
Thanks, Chris. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Thanks.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Pax and Vulpz have a passion and dedication that I think would have made anything they wanted to do successful, and I am grateful they have poured it into a community where more people can develop and share their own passions with peers, influences, and even new friends. I think passion, if left uncared for, will often turn to anger, and anger, if left unobserved, sinks into depression. With creativity, we can do things with our feelings, but sometimes those efforts do not feel complete until we share them. I hope you find a community that feeds you in that way. And if you are unable to find one, I encourage you to be the one who is willing to listen first. You never know how it will impact those you give your time to. I will provide some links to Pax and Vulpz' music pages in the show notes. I will also include the link tree for the show. Inside, you'll find the essential links for engaging more with the show, including a link to the IMF Discord server. As I mentioned before, we recently had a very successful Kickstarter campaign, and we'll be pushing this show to Podcatcher near you for the next long while. That is 100% due to support the idea of highlighting these artists and sharing their insights with others to make the world a more accepting, beautiful, and creative place. Enjoy this track from one of our supporters, Stripe McCoy. He is a great producer, writer, and performer, but I will let the track speak for itself from here. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay courageous, stay curious, and stay creative.
Can hide all the bodies that lie. Under your tapestry of promises to hide, the greed that you thrive on is the way you survive.